Okay, let's go ahead and go through the solution to the constructive retirement problem. And again, we have our various values here. First order of business, copy, paste as values. Okay, and let's go ahead and start this first the easier way, assuming straight line amortization. Then I'll come back and do it again using the effective interest method. So assume that Big owns 90% of Little's voting stock. On January 1st, 2017, Little issued bonds with a face value of $146,000. The bonds are dated January 1st and pay interest at 8% annually. The bonds have a term of 12 years and were sold at 95% of face value. On January 1st, 2020, Big purchased all of these bonds on the open market at 99. Big uses the partial equity method to account for their investment in Little. Assume both Big and Little use straight line amortization. Okay, so I guess the first order of business is going to be to compute the gain or loss in retirement, and for that we're going to need the book value or the carrying value of the debt. So the face value is going to be 146. These things were issued at 95% of face value, so the original discount, put this over here, the original discount was 5% of face value. So plus 0.05 times that. It's being amortized over the 12-year term of the bonds. At the rate of 608.33 per year. And so after these things were issued January 1st, 2017, they're being bought back January 1st, 2020. So we've had the discount being amortized for 2017, 2018, and 2019. So 3 years have elapsed. We can do this one of two ways. We could either say there was originally a discount of 7,300. We've had amortization of 3 years at 608.33 per year, and so there's a remaining discount of 54.75. Alternatively, you could say that, again, these are 12-year bonds, 3 years have elapsed, so there's 9 years left. 9 years of amortization at 608.33 is 54.75. So whether you think in terms, whether you sort of visualize a T account, saying of the 7,300, we've amortized some portion, or whether you think in terms of the amount remaining, you get to the same place, obviously. So we've got a carrying value, face value, minus discount of 140,525. They're being bought for, again, they're being bought at 99% of face value. So they're being bought for 144. So we're paying more than book value for these things. So there's going to be a loss on retirement of that. Okay, one quick thing I wanted to reiterate or reinforce. The issue price and the purchase price. Bond prices are expressed as a percentage of face value. So when these things are issued at 95, they're not being issued for $95,000, but they're being issued for 95% of face value. Likewise, when they're repurchased by the related entity, they're being repurchased at 99% of face value. So 99% of 146,000, they're being bought back for $144,540. Then finally, let's take a look at the buyer's amortization. The original discount for the buyer, again, they bought them back at a 1% discount, so 1% of 146,000. So there's a $1,460 discount, and that's being amortized over the remaining life of the bonds. Now again, when the related party bought these bonds, 3 years had already elapsed, so there were 9 years left. So the annual amortization is going to be 162.22. Now let's go ahead and make our sort of shopping list of the issuer's books as well as the Big the buyer's books. at the end of the first year, at the end of 2020. So at the end of 2020, what does little the issuer have? They've got bonds payable. Make it a little bit wider. Okay, little the issuer has bonds payable, face value 146. They've got a remaining discount on bonds. Now again, on January 1st, when these things were acquired, the remaining discount was $54.75. By the end of the year, another $608.33 has been amortized, so the remaining discount is down to $48.66.67. Finally, they have interest expense, and again, that's going to be the coupon interest. We have a coupon rate of 8% times the face value, plus or minus the amortization. Amortization of a discount increases your borrowing costs. So their interest expense, $12,288.33. Big the buyer has a bond investment or investment in bonds. And again, they bought these things at the beginning of the year for $144,540. That was a discount of $1,460, and that discount is being amortized at $162.22. So the carrying value is going to go up by $162.22. Big the buyer also has interest revenue. And again, same thing. It's going to be the coupon interest, 8% of face value, plus or minus the amortization. And again, we're amortizing a discount that serves to increase our interest revenue. So here's what little the issuer and big the buyer have on their books. All of these accounts have to be eliminated. So what do we do? Bonds payable, we eliminate with a debit. Just going to go down the list here. Discount on bonds, we eliminate with a credit. Interest expense, we eliminate with a credit. Jumping over to big the buyer side, they've got a $144,000 bond investment or investment in bonds. So that has to be eliminated with a credit. And then finally, they've got interest revenue, which gets eliminated with a debit. Interest revenue, of course, being a credit balance account, gets eliminated with a debit. This doesn't balance. What's missing? What's missing is that loss on retirement. So we're going to go ahead and record a loss on retirement of $4,015. And again, just as sort of a nice check figure, this entry had better balance. So debits minus credits equals 0. Okay, let's go ahead and go through to the following year. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy these values here. Okay, so what do we have for the following year? Bonds payable is still $146,000. The discount has been amortized some more. Again, the discount is going down. This is the issuer's discount. The issuer's discount is going down by the amount of their annual amortization of $608.33. So it's going to be last year's discount minus another $608.33. Interest expense, we're using straight line amortization, so that'll be the same as it was before. Same with the interest revenue, straight line amortization, same as it was before. The investment in bonds, again, they bought these bonds at a discount, so that discount is being amortized at the rate of $162.22 per year. And so the new investment is going to be last year's investment plus $162.22 because the investment's going up due to this amortization. And again, I'm going to be lazy here, and I'm going to copy these account titles. Some of these we'll have to amend, but will largely be okay. So bonds payable, same as it was before, 146. Interest revenue, same as it was before. We're going to have to get rid of that. In fact, I'm going to scooch these down a line. The discount on bonds, that's changed a little bit. Interest expense, same as it was before because we're using straight line amortization. The investment in bonds has changed a little bit as well. Now here what we're doing is we're carrying forward this the realized but unrecognized loss. we can do one of two things. We could say, okay, what sort of plug figure does it take to make this thing balance? So let's go ahead and figure that out. We've got on the credit side that plus that minus that minus that. We need a plug figure of 3568.89 over here to make this thing balance. Alternatively, and a little more logically, we'd say last year we had a $4,015 loss we recorded, and again we recognize that via the disparate interest revenue and interest expense. So we have a debit for $4,015 plus that minus that credit to interest expense, and we get the same thing, $3568.89. Now the question is, what do we debit for $3568.89? We have our two questions. Was this upstream or downstream? This was upstream, so the non-controlling interest is going to get their share of that $3568.89. Now again, this is a 90% owned subsidiary, so the non-controlling shareholders are going to get their 10% of that amount. The parent's share, we ask our second question, is the parent using the full equity method or the partial equity method? It says Big uses the partial equity method, so we're going to go ahead and debit retained earnings for their 90% of that $3568.89. Okay, so there we have our solution to the constructive retirement question, assuming straight line amortization was used. And again, what were the steps we had to go through? First, now this step here, in terms of computing the gain or loss on retirement, that wasn't absolutely essential. It's nice because after doing that, we make up our shopping list of what accounts are involved, and when we record the elimination of these accounts, we know we're expecting a plug figure of $4,015 to make that thing balance. Okay, so there's that benefit to calculating this loss in retirement up front. It's not necessary, of course, because by virtue of recording these amounts, that loss, again, it pops out as a plug figure. It's a nice touch to do it just to sort of bring everything full circle, but it's certainly not necessary.